point that because okay, we can say that nationally, okay, Buhari is doing this, doing that, but even at the state level, someone that people had expected better of, is you think that okay, because he's educated, he should have the capacity to reason at a level that understands and be empathetic to people, considering that that was what he was peddling when he wanted to be elected, and then get students shot at and 12 students arrested. I saw a picture of those 12 students when the parents went to visit them, and you need to see the conditions those students are in. It's unbelievable. And if you ask them, because I can remember one time I was challenging someone that was speaking for Yahaya Bello on the arrest of those Kogi 2, which who have been released by now. And then the narrative that was sold to me was that, well, you know, police is federal, is under the federal government, so you can't say that Yahaya Bello is responsible for that. That's absolute nonsense. Because okay, you are saying it's federal level. Okay, you in your capacity as the governor, you want to tell me that you don't have policemen that are under you. You don't you. That's nonsense. If okay, let's say it's federal level, and you don't have, according to you don't have the power to go and say release them. They didn't do anything wrong. In your capacity, if you are for democracy, you should be able to go and also get those people released. I have not heard a word. Maybe Shedrack, who is more following up closely with this, can tell us what the governor has said about the 12 students that have been arrested. But I'm yet to hear anything the governor has said in that regard. He has refused to bring down the school fees, and if we begin to outline El-Rufai's sins, because they are sins, if we begin to outline El-Rufai's sins, we are not going to end today, because there are many. It's like he has a thing of touching every area, and it is so sad to see that this is the same person years ago, before this current administration. He was busy oh my God. He was busy opening his mouth here and there saying there is no how you can. Sorry, I know I'm diving into other issues, and you can stop me if deviating. But this was the person who was saying that as a governor, you have all the all the information you need, all the intelligence you need. You can't say you don't know where these kidnappers are. You can't say you don't know this. You can't say you don't know that. This man said this. Now it's your turn, and what are you telling us? You're speaking from both sides of your mouth. Okay, Governor El-Rufai's kid he enrolled him in a government school, and then I read online that he had withdrawn him because of the kidnappers were begging him to remove his child. Okay, that is to say you are communicating with the kidnappers, which is frankly not news to us, because he has once paid them before. So you are conversing with these men, and then you cannot arrest them. What the hell are you telling us? It just means to say they have no will to address these insecurity issues. They are comfortable seeing the children of people being kidnapped, killed every day, and do absolutely nothing because it's not their children. So that's basically my 2 cents about this issue. I could go on and on, but I know there are others that would take the mic. But basically, the government, like El-Rufai once said himself, have everything within their means to bring an end to the insecurity that's happening in Kaduna, and he is not doing that. So going by his words, he is incompetent and should basically step down. Once you cannot do a job that you're assigned to, that's a primary responsibility, to be able to protect lives and property. You can't do that. What do you want to do again? What do you want to do? You should step down and give it to a capable person that can handle it. He's incompetent, going by his standards of incompetency that when he made the statements he made years ago. I don't know if Shadrach is still on this. I'm sorry, Stephen is still on this meeting. All right. So apparently, the moderator, Stephen Jefferson, is having some network issues. So we'll just carry on with the conversation. I would like to know if the other discussants are here. If Senator Sheikh Husani is here with us. So we'll have to carry on without Steven. He's having network issues. I think it's raining heavily at his place. And so I will just step in and try and moderate as possible, as much as I can. And so, as picking up from where he left off, I've given my opinion on the issues that he asked, but picking up from where he left off, we have to talk about how we can move on from these issues. What can we do? What are those things that we can do to get these people to listen to us and get our voices heard, to have the change? You know, there are so many. I frankly, as a person, I get tired and frustrated every single time when there are discussions but there are no actions. So actions are very, very important, even after having insightful and enlightening webinars as such. So, Shadrach Danladi, can you tell us what are some of the steps that have been taken and are being taken in regards to getting the students out of police custody? And if there have been updates, what updates do you have regarding the welfare of the students that are in custody? And as the government also reached out to the parents of the two deceased students of the College of Education, Gidonwaya. Hi, Shadrach, are you there?
He talked on behalf of the government. I cannot answer that of the government question. But one thing I know is this. I read a statement by the Commissioner of Police, Kaduna State, whereby he announces the passing away of those two whom were killed, and they send their direct commiseration. I think it should be from the Commissioner of Internal and Home Affairs. Yes, he released such a statement, I guess. When we talk of efforts made by the government to secure this student, and actually, if there have been effort, I think the effort should be behind closed door. Because to the best of my knowledge, I don't know anything, I don't know the communication and the steps so far the government have taken. Because as a government, they have not spoke or speak on the matter to this very day. I've never in any way read on the paper or watch on the news that this is the position of the Kaduna state government regarding the arrested students who are in police custody. And well, the parents have been on top of the matter. They have been with the children, the student from day one. The parents have been trying their best from their angle to see how these students and children can be released, either on dialogue. Yes, this is what the parents are working on. Because I do communicate with a source to the parent. This is the journey so far. And when we talk of insecurity in Kaduna State, there is one thing I would like us to understand. It is not only state-owned institution, I mean tertiary institution that it affects. The problem in Kaduna State is more than what we are thinking of. We've been reading in the news, it started in Africa, it's come down to Nuba, Mali. Let's talk about the Greenfield student and of a recent, the Bethel student. And the government itself have closed some schools because they are standing at risk of insecurity. So when you talk of attacks, insecurity in student or schools in Kaduna State, it is a very huge issue. So we should not overlook or downlook that aspect, that even institutions who are not tertiary institutions in the state are not doing well as far as the insecurity is concerned. This is one thing we must tell ourselves. The government need to do more in improving our security and putting this thing
All
to
right,
end.
thank you. Thank you so much, Shedrack, and thank you for all the efforts that you have been making towards, along with the support of the TIB movement and others, towards the release of the students. So we have Professor Chidi Odikalu. I hope I got that name correctly. I apologize if I did not. Who is a seasoned activist on this meeting. So, sir, considering that the recent activities in Kaduna, and you find out that resistance, at least from my perspective, resistance in terms of these draconian laws and all the kidnappings and all of that, resistance is not as high as you would expect it to be. So, sir, what you have to say in that regard, and what advice that would you give the students that have found themselves in this situation, that even their voices, which is basically all that they have to speak and demand for the state government to reconsider these things and then give a fair fee. What do you have to say to them? Because the last time I spoke to some students from the Kaduna State University, they were like, oh, we are accepting the fees, there's nothing we can do, this, that, but we will not just sign the undertaking. And frankly, I was pissed because I was like, why would you accept one and refuse the other? So, sir, the mic is yours.
Thanks a lot, Debbie. Good afternoon or good evening, colleagues, comrades. Do you hear me?
Yes, hello? We can hear you clearly.
Yes, we can hear you, sir, clearly.
Okay. It's Kaduna State is a bit of a conundrum at the moment, and I'm not sure that anyone can tell you that there is an easy fix to these issues. It's easy to for students who are under economic duress and situational duress to say they will accept the fees, but where will the money come from? Right, you're in a situation in which thousands of public service workers who support the school fees of these students have been fired without benefits. Tens of thousands, or if not hundreds of thousands more, who have not been fired or who may be working, live in communities that have spent most of their money contributing to or paying ransom to bandits who are supported by El Rufai. Okay. Now, the situation is, I don't just say supported by El Rufai. He says so, you know, when you listen to him, he says so. He has also paid, he also has justified quite volubly payments that he's made to herders who have also undertaken banditry operations in the general direction, in the general neighborhood of Southern Kaduna and Kafanchan, Idanwaya, and environs. Now, but there is also the general sectarian unease about where this is taking place. And if you look at the roll call, the two students killed were Emmanuel Nathan, the guy they called DJ Skibo, right? And Abbas Zakari. Now, who are the students detained it's useful to listen to their names: Elon Joseph, Anthony James, Moses Success, Peter Sunday, Felix Nathaniel, Gabriel Jerry Joseph, Enoch Rabo, Bagudu James, Queen Joshua, Pius Prue, Philemon Favor, Taman Agnes. Now, when you look at all of these, you see they don't represent the majoritarian or the point of view of the governor. And there is a sectarian dimension to this. Whether it's a matter of perception or reality is a different matter. But when you listen to all of these names, going to school in Kaduna, and not one of them is seen as Muslim, you have a sectarian undertone to this. That means that basically you have a multidimensional problem. One, there is the fact that certainly, if not in the first term, but certainly in the beginning of the second term, and we're having this conversation, by the way, the morning after the kidnapping of the so-called Emir of Kajuru. The Emirate of Kajuru was set up 3 years ago over the Adara land. Yes? And after the killing of the former Agwamadara. Now, so you're left with a situation in which the governor has poisoned the state. He has poisoned coexistence. That's the underlying issue here. Having poisoned the state, he has set people up against one another, and coexistence no longer exists. He then is impoverishing workers, and he's making it impossible for their children to have a life, and he is making it impossible for anybody to protest any of these things. And by the way, just to finalize the 5-point schema of challenges, the judiciary is in his pocket. So where do we expect? Now, the Constitution is very clear. You're not supposed to hold anyone for more than 48 hours. These students have been held, 12 or so of them, for nearly 2 weeks. So it should be easy to at least get them bail, and that should not be a problem. And maybe we should try and at least instruct a lawyer to head to court, and let's see whether we can get them out on bail, and then take things from there. That, for me, is at least a first step, and I wouldn't know whether any lawyers have yet been instructed. I would also think that part of what we should do is to request for an inquest into the killings of the 2 students who were killed, while we continue to, number 3, build constituencies and build common advocacy agenda, outreach and mobilization with the Nigerian Labour Congress, who remain engaged with the situation in Kaduna. Now, while we're doing this, by the way, the governor claims to have set up a commission of inquiry into the NLC protest, for what I really can't understand. And he's named his cronies, including the former chief judge of the FCT and the former attorney general of Cross River State, Ekweyo, to investigate the NLC protest. This is relevant to this question of what's happened in Idanwaya, because the parents who were protesting with the NLC were protesting over their being able to earn some money with which to pay school fees for their children. So I hope that we make the connections between the kind of political system that El Rufai is trying to create. Now, the challenge here, and let me end on this note, is Kaduna is a microcosm of Nigeria, okay? In terms of diversity, in terms of its strategic significance, and it's a path, it is at the frontier between all the geopolitical zones of the North, right? If you poison Kaduna, you have poisoned the country. The significance of what El Rufai is doing goes beyond Kaduna State. And that is why we also, all of us who may not be indigenous to Kaduna State, need to take what is happening in Kaduna seriously. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insights you have given. And I believe Shedrack mentioned that some lawyers are already on the issue. but there are no updates for now on if they are going to court and how we're going to get them out on bail. Before I continue, I would like to recognize the co-convener of the Coalition for Revolution, Baba Aif, and I'd like to recognize his presence here on this meeting. So you're welcome, and the mic is, I'm handing the mic to you for comment.
Well, thank you very much for that. Well, first, let me say I'm not a knight and I have absolutely no intention of becoming one. Comrade would do. I generally don't like the idea of sir, be it knight in the church or knight of the British Empire. So, well, quite quickly, let me say this is a very important issue for several reasons. I'm happy with Chidi's. Chidi shows the connections between the attacks on the youth, the attack on the working class people, and so on and so forth. For me, it's personally also very maddening, having been radicalized as a student leader and having been a spokesperson of the National Association of Nigerian Students at a critical point in our history. What I would just want to add to that is, along with reaching out to the trade unions, this is a challenge to, I know the student movement nationally is not what it used to be, but this is a challenge to what is left of resistance within the student movement for a national challenge to the nonsense of the name. So, for what it's worth, the Alliance for the Against Neoliberal Attacks on Nigerian Students, progressive students movement, student bodies across the country should speak out, organize, fight back against this. We should also internationalize this struggle. Take this, the All African Students Union, different bodies. The primary battle is in Kaduna, but this is a battle that we should fight nationally, fight internationally, put them out there for what they are, and use any and every means of advocacy, of campaign, to fight for release and the dropping of all charges against the 12 and reversal of the anti-poor, anti-worker, anti-students increase in tuition fees. Thank you once again. Aluta continua, Victoria Sata.
Thank you, Comrade. Sorry for referring to you as sir. So we have our moderator, thankfully, is back, and Stephen Jefferson. So he'll take over from here, moderating the rest of the webinar. Stephen Jefferson, over to you.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Sorry, it's about to rain here, so wants to rain in Nigeria, the network is always fluctuating. I listened to some part of Chidi's presentation, and I must confess, he has actually touched most areas that are so vital to this discussion. Then thank you also to Comrade, the founder of Revolution, distinguished Senator Shehu Sani, very much around now. So let's quickly have him before we proceed. Distinguished sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. Good to have.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Okay, yes, sir, I can hear you, sir. Good. Now, we would appreciate, because on this field of students, with what are going through today, you tell the students, is think the student need to know, like we did back then, the resistance you put on against certain policies that were not favorable to you guys back then in school.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
you have.
I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Well,
we can hear you clearly, sir.
Thank you for having me in this platform. Though your question has been breaking, but I think I will attempt to give some of my views. Can you hear me?
We can all hear you, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. It is important that people in the position of power are always held to account by organized resistance and protest. And this can come in form of a peaceful dissent led by student movement, workers, or simply the organized civil society. It is clear in Nigeria today that when most people get into position of power, they seem to forget the very channel, the very ladder, the very reason that you having problem?
We can hear you, sir.
We can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. When people get into position of power, they seem to forget the very channel, the very ladder that they followed to the throne. And this is evident in Nigeria in the last 2 decades. So most of the ills we face, especially from this part of the country, the North, has to do with the fact that when people see their own, I mean, it means someone who is in the position of power is either from their region or they share the same religion or ethnicity. They seem to condole, accept, and submit to whatever any person does in power. There is a form of an ethnic, religious, and sectional solidarity. And this has given leaders, most times, the opportunity and the privilege and the license to do whatever they want to do. I'm talking to you from Kaduna today. I have just left the Bethel Baptist High School, where 121 students were kidnapped. And unfortunately, you couldn't see any elected person from anywhere, from the point of the state legislature or the federal legislature, that attempt to even go there to console the parents of these abducted students. So there is the belief that as long as sentiments are used and as long as there is an enemy somewhere, whatever happens, we will still be voted into power and we will get what we want. So it's important as far as this country is concerned, whether you are from the north, the south, or whatever part of the country you come from, when there is a common danger, a common problem, and a common menace we face as a people, as oppressed people, we unite as a class to fight it. Nigeria's oppressors don't come from one geographical entity or another. They don't come from one ethnic group or one religious group. They are spread all over. They share the oil blocks to themselves. They share privatized public enterprises to themselves. They share the country to themselves. So as far as I'm concerned, I think the most important thing for us as a people is that we should use any available channel that will get those people.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. Before you go, sir, yes, before you, we would want you were a student in school, an activist with lots of. Is there anything you think the are not doing right with regards to struggles mostly have failed to yield.
I think his mic is off.
Distinguished, your mic is off, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Student unionism or activism has moved from the good golden days of it to the worst days it is being confronted with now. In those days, when students give ultimatum and warning, the whole country shakes and the government gets itself on the feet. Nowadays, student union leaders are only interested in giving awards to legislators, to people in executive position, to ministers. You can see them giving awards. When I was in the National Assembly, there was a time I scolded some of them. They come into office looking for whoever senator is in the office, and they come with plaques and certificates ready in the boots of their vehicle. And they ask which of the senators is in the office. They go in, give you award, and then give you bill to pay. Now, how can these people fight any policy, any program of government? You can see even the election of student union leaders in universities now. In ABU here, which is supposed to be one of the most advanced and progressive university in northern Nigeria, you see ethnic, religious, and sectional factors coming into student activism. In most of the states, universities, and most of the federal universities, people who will emerge presidents of those unions are being allocated to people where the university is located. So you can see how the decadence of the Nigerian political class, the decay in Nigerian political system has also polluted student union activism. Student union activism need to go back to its days of glory when they pursue noble causes, noble ideas, defend the interests of the student, and are also very much involved in shaping the policy, the programs, and the future of their country. Activism, student unionism now is in the lowest of low. You see them being used to counter protests, to even disassociate themselves from progressive dissent against repressive policies of the state. They are becoming even an arm of either Federal Ministry of Education or Federal Ministry of Sports, Youth and Sport, or even you see them issuing commendation letters to people in government. So as far as I'm concerned, student union activism needs to be rescued. It is for them to be taken seriously, but for now, it is simply a bad taste.
Very much, distinguished senator, for doing justice to this gray area. Then also, sir, before we would let you take your leave, I don't know if you can still hear me, sir.
I can hear you.
Yes, you are from Kaduna, and Kaduna State has been on the news virtually every day. We keep hearing reports of killings and kidnapping and other criminal activities in Kaduna State. As a former senator, sir, do you think it's already a hopeless situation in Kaduna?
Well, I'm even conducting this interview from my house in Kaduna. But what I can tell you is that at a time like this, I cannot move 1 kilometer outside of Kaduna city. And there are 4 routes that gets into Kaduna. The one to Lagos, the one to Southern Kaduna, the one to Zaria, and the one to Abuja. All of them now are being blocked by kidnappers. And the only access we have to come to Kaduna is through the train. And if your train breaks down in between Kaduna and Abuja, it will only take you the grace of God and prayer, because the city is virtually surrounded. They used to be, the one to Southern Kaduna used to be the safest one, But now, cattle rearers, when they knew that a car is coming, they push their cattle to the road. And once you see cattle on the road, you attempt to stop, they come and kidnap you and take you into the bush. So this is the situation we find ourselves. It is hopeless because the government that is in power in the country has behaved hopelessly. Each time we have kidnappings and killing, it's about condemnation. Then you have indoor meetings, closed door meetings, emergency meetings going on, all sorts of meetings that produce nothing. And our people are being kidnapped. I can tell you that more than 50% of the cases of kidnapping in Kaduna is not even reported, because now it's reached a point whereby the ones that will be reported is only when it is mass abduction or raiding of schools. But the ones that happen almost every hourly, and Kaduna, the irony is that it has the largest presence of the military in the whole country. Greenfield University is located along Kaduna-Abuja Road. The Federal College of Forestry Mechanization is just next to Nigeria Defense Academy. It's also on the road to the airport. Bandits now can strike anywhere and kidnap people anywhere, no matter the number of them. So the situation we find ourselves is that one in which the government has failed to protect our people. Simply.
Wow. Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. Okay, we may get back to you later. Comrade Walid. Yes, we have Comrade Walid. Comrade Walid is the General Secretary of the Amalgamated Union of Public Corporations, Civil Service, Technical and Recreational Services Employee, OPCRE. So, Comrade Walid, we have you in the house. Of course, you are a labor union leader, and we all know what happened a few weeks ago when the NLC embarked on a 3-day warning strike and protest in Kaduna. What is the position of labor? You are a general secretary to a very big labor organization. What's the position, Wahid Security, yes. What's the position of labor as to the situation in Kaduna? The state government has refused to back down or shift any ground based on the disengagement of civil servants. So what's the position of labor? Any development? You are welcome, you have the floor. Comrade Wahid Sirika, can you please unmute yourself? Wahid Sikiru, comrade, can you please unmute yourself and have the floor?
All right, nice moments with everyone, yeah. I feel almost visually everything, yeah. I'm impressed. It's my first time having a Zoom session with comrades, artists, the like-minded like me. So I'd rather keep mute, just as it is in my.
Okay, hello? Hello, can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, since it seems Wahid Sikiru is having difficulties, but before Prof will leave, Professor Chidi, I have a question here which is very important. Professor Chidi is the former chairman of the National Human Rights Commission. Now, this question has to do with the NLC strike that held in Kaduna a few weeks ago. There was an audio that circulated the social media where it purported to be a meeting between the governor and some persons, some of his age, and where it was admitted that thugs were imported from Zaria to disrupt the protests. And a voice was heard on the background saying that since the police are not cooperating, they are going to bring in thugs. Now, the question here is, what can be done to such an action from a government obviously admitting to importing thugs to disrupt a peaceful protest? Is there any legal implication? Over to you, Prof.
Hello. Thanks a lot, Steve. I hope you're good. It's the assumption that underpins every one of our propositions in a search for solutions here is that we live in a country in which institutions are supposed to work. That does not hold good for the Nigeria that we're talking about, and certainly does not hold good for the Kaduna state that Nasir El-Rufai governs or purports to govern. I think the Senator Sheikh Hussaini has described to you the security situation, which is a primary responsibility of government. Every access into Kaduna state is overtaken by people who don't wish ordinary citizens well. And the governor does not conduct nor comport himself as if this is a matter of serious concern for him, and as if the protection of everyone, irrespective of their identity, is an important constitutional value for him. And the reason I say this is that if he did, this question would not arise. In a proper place, anybody who procures thugs against a lawful protest, which is what the NLC attempted to certainly stage, will be prosecuted by the state itself, because that person is endangering our public commons and our constitutional values and rights. But that's not where we are. This was a state government procuring thugs in order to break up a lawful exercise of constitutional rights. In the absence of a will from the state government to do something about it, the responsibility becomes that of law enforcement. But law enforcement in Kaduna is not independent or autonomous of agency as it's supposed to be. And so our options are very limited. Lodge a complaint with the police or SSS in the hope that they will investigate and prosecute, which is unlikely, or undertake private prosecution, knowing that the judiciary is not necessarily well equipped to do to fulfill its constitutional role, but nevertheless hoping to showcase the limitations and the political control they are under, or the political subjugation that they have accepted as the judiciary. Now, those are the formal options open to us. But as I like to say, we are before three courts. There is the court of law, there is the court of public opinion, and there's a court of posterity. The people who claim today to control the courts of law don't control the court of public opinion, nor will they control the courts of posterity. We have a responsibility to make sure that even while they control the courts of law, the courts of public opinion continue to be alive to their violations, and the courts of posterity have evidence on the basis of which to hold them and their memories accountable when they are gone. And so that's why the message of struggle that Baba has put forward, and which Comrade Sheikh Hussaini has reinforced, become very important. We just cannot keep quiet because the police has been destroyed, and the judiciary has been destroyed, and the prosecutorial service has been destroyed, and we'll then say, well, that's good enough. Let us all give up and go. That cannot happen. Hello? Hello? Anybody listening?
Yes, we were listening. I think probably the moderator is having issues
Yes,
with his
yes. Thank you very much, Prof. You've done justice to the question. So as it is now, we are left with the court of public opinion and that of posterity, because the law court obviously may not be able to give us a quick justice that we demand at such a time.
I mean, I don't think we should give up on the courts, even if it is just to be able to produce evidence to say when we went before the judges, they were even worse than the politicians. I think it's important to say that. We need to be able to make the demand so that the judges will not have a place to run off to and say, well, nobody told us or nobody asked us to do what we exist to do.
Is malicious, miscalculating of the opposition party to make itself relevant in Taraba politics for this event. This reaction by the APC in Taraba's state is coming after the government granted an interview on Channel.
Thank you very much. Femi Adeyeye, you have the floor, Femi. Okay, we have Wahid Sikiru now. Okay, Comrade Wahid, please, you have the floor. Go ahead and address the House on the way forward, the labor strike, the state government's refusal to shift ground. So what's the 911? What's the way forward as a labor leader that you are? Tell us.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you, comrade.
Okay.
I hear you.
I'm very sorry. I'm coming a bit late to this program. I have a serious network challenge here. I'm in Niger State, Mina, for a program of the Women Program of NLC. So it has been a very hectic issue connecting to the platform. I have not really listened to what to the other speakers like Sani and some others, but I want to thank you so much for organizing this very program and for us to have come this way to see what is really happening in this country as regards to issues of the current development. I think for me, hello?
We are with you, comrade.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly.
Oh my God.
We can hear you, comrade. We can hear you. We can hear you, comrade. Just go on.
The governor said he has touched everyone, and that is the part he has touched everyone in Taraba State. For example, the party chairman of APC. Right now that I am talking to you, they are now renovating the health clinic to standard. Although the APC in Taraba State has for years been a major political opponent to the UNPDP, an even war between both parties is not a common occurrence.
Comrade Kefasin, would you like to take it from here? Because it appears Comrade Wahid is having serious challenges with network since he earlier said this in Nigeria and it's been challenging.
I'm having same too. I've asked Debbie to take over. Basically, okay. I think we've had the most of the discussants have actually spoken, and they've spoken very well. So I think any other business, any other persons who have ideas or way forward that he or she will want to share with the students, in particular in Kaduna, I think that would be welcomed, because I may go up any moment from now. The network here is really, really terrible.
Okay, so Shadrach is raising his hand. So Shadrach, you're can turn on your mic and have your word. Comrade Shedrack. Comrade Shedrack, can you hear me? All right. Just like Stephen Jefferson has
hello,
said.
hello. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. You are raising your hand. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Of a truth, I'm really impressed with the conversation, most especially what these stakeholders have submit, from the moderator to Professor Chidi and distinguished Senator Sani and Babai. What I want to ask on us on the way forward, please, let's do whatever it will take for us to set this student free. Their freedom is what we are after now. I want it to be part of the agenda of this very meeting on the way forward. I'm very impressed that it is Professor Chidi that read the names of these detaining students from A to Z. So please, my plea is after this webinar, we should draw a roadmap on how to set this student free. That's the number one thing. And the labor and the student leaders, if there will be a coalition on how to resist this school fee hike, of a truth, I'm calling on it. I know of a student whom, when she got admission, the school fees is not more than 40,000 naira. But the parent cannot afford this very money. That's the registration. I want to assure you, a guardian have to follow house to house. This one will give her pot, the other one spoon, the other one plate, before she was able to go to school. Then what will happen if these school fees have been hiked to 75,000 or 100,000? How many of such people will go to school? As far as Kaduna State students are concerned, over 95% will drop out. And we have already having security challenges. This set of people that will drop out from school, they will constitute more danger to the security challenges of the state. These are some of the things that we are calling on the government to be cautioned on. So please, I will begin this sitting to please prioritize the freedom of this student and other measures this movement can take in order to revert this school fees hike. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Comrade. I know before this meeting, I think I saw on one of your posts you were thanking the lawyers that have reached out. So, what have the lawyers done? What are the steps they have taken so far, so that you can give us an update so that we would better understand how and where we can make suggestions towards how we can intervene and get the students released.
You see, the issue there is, I spoke with one of the parents yesterday. These parents, to an extent, they are very fearful on how the state government normally treat issues like that. At a point in time, they feel the lawyers coming in now, it is not overdue. They want to have a dialogue section first. If the dialogue did not work out, then legal assistance can come. But as a civil movement, we need to understand that the parent may not necessarily invite us. They cannot give a go ahead for these lawyers to proceed. We can come in there. I spoke with one of the lawyers yesterday. That's the feedback he was giving me from a parent. And I spoke with the parent representative. Same he was saying. So from all I understand, the parents are having these feelings. Let it not be the involved lawyers now, and the police may feel as if they are trying to brag.
Can anyone hear that lady? Because I can't hear it.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear him. I can hear him.
Okay.
Okay. So
yes, Shadrach, I can hear you.
Okay, what I'm saying exactly is this. If as a movement we can get lawyers that can set this student free, I will be very impressed, because the parents of this student are afraid of having lawyers coming directly from them, because they want to have a dialogue section first. If you followed my previous post, I said a dialogue within the weekend or probably may likely end in the court of law. So ending in the court of law means when civil rights movement like this instituted a case against the state government against the detention of this student, I think that is what will be of help. So please, after this webinar, more conversation should be kept in touch with Professor Chidi, Comrade Shehu Sani for advice and another thing on how to go about this. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade. Yeah, we would take it up after. So we would soon be rounding off this meeting, but before we round up, one of the major reasons why we set up this webinar is to discuss these issues and then find ways forward. What is the way forward? What are we going to do about hell, Rufai? What are we going to do about these draconian laws that he is setting? What are we going to do about the insecurity situation in Kaduna? One thing that we must understand as comrades, as fellow comrades in the struggle, is that resistance is key. It is very important that we resist at every stage, because the moment we relax and say, oh, our resistance is not birthing much, we are practically giving the oppressors the power to continue to oppress us and oppress us, and it goes on and on. So for the few minutes we have left, I'll be, if there are contributions from the participants in this Zoom meeting, you can please raise your hand and unmute yourself and speak in regards to what I just said. What is the way forward? How do we mobilize, build resistance in Kaduna State? I can see Bosede Ojo raising her hand. Comrade, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Thank you. Good evening,
yes,
all.
I can hear you now. It's clearer. Yes.
Good evening to the House, and thank you so much to every speakers. Although I have not been able to listen to the speakers because I was on the platform late. My contribution to this is, I just jumped on it because I saw it on one of the platforms that this is going on. I just thought, let me listen. What I want to say is, this issue that we're having right now in Kaduna, it's same as what's happening in almost every part of Nigeria. And it's such a shame that Buhari's government, as much as they promised the citizens of Nigeria when it was to come to power in 2015, has turned out to be what it is and turned Nigeria to a den of lions, where it's so chaotic, where, the state of Nigeria right now is just so uncertain. And you would not believe that we were all born there, and somebody like the governor of Kaduna State, that is the center point of discussion this evening, was also born and brought up in Nigeria. And it did not have to face what they've subjected us students to right now. And you see them do this. And again, I think, and I would think other people would as well, think that these people have children. And it's so sad where you see people who were born in Nigeria, who grew up in an environment that was enabling for them to be who they are today, achieve what they should have achieved in life, to mount an office of a governor, for instance, where El Rufai is at the moment, are putting other people, other students in a state of disadvantage. Because when you are allowing students to go through what they're going through, you are disadvantaging them. You are taking so much from them, you're stealing from them, you're destroying their purpose and destiny. It's such a shame that we're having this going on all over in Nigeria under the watch of Buhari. But what I would say, I mean, everyone has said this, and I concur to it, that we should just resist them. We continue to have to do what we have to do. We challenge them. We go to the court of law, even though, I mean, we probably might not have justice from the court of law, but it will be on record. So I would say, yes, we should not let them deter us. We should not let them cow us and apprehend us, because what they want to do is make us to be fearful and run into one corner and allow them to just thrive in their corruption and in their horrible and evil way of operation. I just say we should just all stand. We should all stand and resist them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mosede Ojo. I don't know, it's like Comrade Wahid Sikiri is back. I can see him, so maybe we'll have the final words from him before we close this meeting. Comrade Wahid, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself and respond. I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now? I'm muted already.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me
now?
Thank you very much for this opportunity once again. It's very unfortunate that I have this network challenge where I am here, but it's clear I have to go far away somewhere now to be able to get this network and for me to be able to speak. I did not really know, I cannot listen to the earlier this, but I've just make my own contribution. I want to thank you once again for this opportunity. The situation in Kaduna, that it is when we have somebody when we have a tyrant like El Rufai, you don't expect anything better than what we are having now. This is somebody that when he was not a governor, as at the time the student of DAPE